Today's episode is brought to you by Smithburg Auto of Fairfield, Iowa, Hinshaw Trailer Sales of Richland, Iowa, including the Packwood Locker and the Cedar Rapids Titans Arena football team. And we are of the guest of the owner of the Cedar Rapids Titans. Can you introduce yourself, my friend?
Yeah, hi, Dave and audience. My name is Mike Thorson. I just took over ownership of the Cedar Rapids Titans about 7 months ago.
All right. Well, we're going to go back to you as a young man. Playing. You told me I think you ran some track and you played some football, maybe a little. I don't know if you played any baseball or basketball or anything, but tell us a little bit about you, the young man, and what sports meant to you, and what kind of sports were you involved in?
Yeah, so I started out with football. I've always had a love for any type of football, backyard football, college, professional, etc. As you know, back then, because I'm an 80s baby, flag football wasn't really a thing. So it was tackle right away. So I started out Pee Wee football. I played linebacker a lot. When I got to middle school, they still kept me at linebacker. And then in high school, they tried to switch me around. And since I was kind of bouncing house to house at that time, I really fell off of the football scene, but I was still really involved in track. I used to hold the fastest mile at my middle school, which at that time was like 5 minutes and 32 seconds. I ranked second place for the Junior Olympics back in Inglewood. So it would have been like 1992, somewhere in there. So I had the chance to actually go to the Junior Olympics, but since I got second place, I wasn't one of the people that got nominated to do that. Mainly because I ran my mile with a friend. And it's funny because when I look back at it now, if I would have ran my pace and not ran with a friend, I would have won. Because at the end of the race, he had a kick and I didn't. I was gassed at the end of it. But if I would have been doing my pace the whole time, I would have been ahead of him the whole time. But that's how life goes, you know.
Man, I'll tell you, that reminds me of a story that happened to me in 1973. I was in the Pine Box Derby Championship. I'd went all to the state. We went clear to the championship, and there was two tracks. And one track was faster than the other. And in my track, when I was on the fast track, I won by a long ways. I mean, by maybe 8 car lengths. But when he got on the fast track, he edged me by maybe an inch in the 2 out of 3, and he won the 2 out of 3, and I wound up third place instead of first place. But well, I go back to see. That's why I call myself an award-winning broadcaster, because I did get third place in the state in 1973.
There you go.
In the Pinewood Derby contest there, but a little off track there. But I get where you're going. You almost got to the mountain. You could see the other side, but you didn't get the brass ring there. And I think you're providing an opportunity for a lot of athletes that maybe experience what I did with the Pinewood Derby and what you did with the racing, the track and stuff. So you're giving these guys a second chance. We'll get back to chance to talk about that a little bit. But you told me you started out in Colorado and you wound it up at some point towards your adult life coming to Cedar Rapids. Let's not worry so much about why you came there, but what did you see in Cedar Rapids when you come there, and why have you really grown to love Cedar Rapids? And what is this mission you seem to be on to give back to Cedar Rapids?
Oh, man. Where to even start? So, yeah, I moved here in 2004. And really, the city of Cedar Rapids gave me and my entire life a second chance. With that being said, I specifically started dedicating my life to changing it all around. So when I did move here, I got myself 3 jobs, grabbed my GED, and then I started college all at the same time. Well, college after the GED, obviously. So I have a criminal justice degree, and that's really where the giving back to Cedar Rapids began, because I wanted to be a police officer. And I wanted to be one of those officers that just kind of walked the neighborhoods and got to know everybody, instead of putting them right away in cuffs. I wanted to help individuals. That's always where my heart has been, is helping and seeing how I can help you improve your life. Because I had a few people along the way, especially my mom and my stepdad and my grandparents back in Colorado, that really helped me get back on the right path and, stay away from wrongdoing. So I owe a lot of that to them. So, really, when I'm giving back to Cedar Rapids, it is because they instilled that inside of me so much so that my passion lies there. So with my other company, we've done so much that we've done over the last 7 years. So we've almost fed 2,000 families. We give back every Thanksgiving. This last Thanksgiving, we did $750 worth of gift cards to individual families to help them provide for their Thanksgiving meal. I've literally given presents to babies that I didn't even know because the family reached out and they said, "Hey, we don't have anything for this Christmas. Can you help?" And, it's not my position to tell them no, even if I don't really have it. So I've given babies presents. When my health went bad in 2018, I couldn't fit into my big clothes anymore because I had gained a lot of weight and then lost it real fast. So I literally packed all my clothes into the back of my trunk, went downtown Cedar Rapids, and started walking the streets down there, talking to every single homeless person that said, "Hey, if you need clothes, come pick out what you want." So I'm literally that guy that will give you the shirt off of my back.
Well, somehow your shirt wound up owning a professional football team. Tell us a little bit about, I was involved a little bit last year, kind of trying to get my broadcasting together, which has somewhat come together, such as it is. But we never done video before, and we kind of had a process to go through to get that. But I seen it. We were really excited to hear about the teams. We wanted to help out. We wanted to be a part of that and help it grow a little bit, but they somehow the old ownership wanted to get up the team, and they needed somebody to step up and keep this team in Cedar Rapids, and you were the guy. So what was the
Yes.
deal on what was going through your mind? How did the process work? And how did you, become a owner of a football team?
Yeah, so behind every story, there's another story, right? So I'll actually start this one back in 2018 when the original Cedar Rapids Titans were here. My stepdad, Rob, Rob, excuse me, Rob Rowetter, actually introduced me and my two older boys to the Cedar Rapids Titans because he took us to our very first arena football game right here in Cedar Rapids. So now let's fast forward to 2023. I was approached by the previous ownership to become a sponsor. And at that time, my store really wasn't doing all that well, but I just found a way to make it work and to become a sponsor for the team. A year later, the previous owner asked me, "Hey, would you like to become an investor for the team?" And at that time, my store was doing great. So I said, "Yeah, I'm definitely interested." So I was already kind of like a silent partner last year. But then when it came to this year, and tragically, my stepdad ended up passing away this last summer to stage 4 lung cancer. And he left me a small little inheritance. And with that, I went to my wife and I went to my mom and I was like, "Hey, this is something that I really feel a passion towards. What do you guys think?" I got the yes from both of them because, I got to get the boss's approvals. And once they said yes, I took an offer to the previous owner and he accepted. And here I am today, 100% owner of the Cedar Rapids Titans.
All right. Well, what was the process? You had to get a coach, you had to get players. It seems like you've made some good decisions in that arena. Tell us a little bit about, what'd you do day one when you found out you're owning this team here?
So with that, actually, I inherited the general manager and coach through contract negotiations because he was already put in place here by the previous owner, which I absolutely love. Rick Krantz, he's done an excellent job here in Cedar Rapids with repairing a lot of the relationships that were hurt during previous ownerships. And so I inherited them. Rick and his staff have put together the roster, which they're doing an amazing job. As we saw in our first game, there's a lot of strength behind our roster movement. As I'm learning, though, that is something that's always moving around with different pieces, different players that we got to get in and rotate out. But I think that we have a very strong staff and a very strong team here for the Cedar Rapids area.
Well, yeah. So, we got off to a good start there, and you got some really great personnel involved. What was the process of getting contacting these players? Did you just have open tryouts, or did you send out some requests for certain players to come? Because it sure seems like you got a heck of a football team here.
Rick Krantz and his staff have been recruiting over the last year. So that was a big part of it. And then, yes, we did have some open tryouts to see if we could get some local boys, which I would absolutely love if anyone hears this podcast to reach out to us because, you know, the state of Iowa is known for offensive line and we could use them. So we would love to have some of those offensive line players that are still around, that still got it in them and have that fire and, would like to just play some ball because that would be a great extension to us. Because if we get some more local players, that brings in more people, especially if it's someone that's, from the Hawkeyes. Like I just said, the Hawkeyes are known for their offensive line. If we could pick some of those older players up, that would be phenomenal for this team.
Well, I'll tell you what, me and my team have been covering high school football for about 44 schools over the last 4 years, and I think we might be able to send some local kids your way that could help you. Boy, that Adam Stafford kid's going to be a graduate. He's about 360 pounds and 6'6", and we call him the Bearded Mountain. Maybe that would be a place where we could get some beef in there to help you out a little bit. But
That would
oh,
be great because we could use all the help at the offensive line that we can get. Because I was at practice this morning, and not to speak ill of anyone on our roster, but as far as we know, that is our main place that we really could use some help at. Everything else, wide receiver, running back, quarterback, we're very strong. And then I'm a defensive guy because, like I said, I used to play linebacker. So I really don't care about the offense as much as I should.
well,
Um, and again, no disrespect to anyone that listens, but being a defensive guy myself, our defense is top notch. Coach James has done an excellent job. During our very first game here in Cedar Rapids, I believe we had 5 picks, if I'm correct, and 2 of them returned for pick sixes. I was too excited to do the count, but I'm pretty sure that's where we were at. And for me, a pick six any day of the game is a good day, or any turnover for the defense is a good day. And that's what I just keep telling Coach James. I'm like, I love your defense, James. Love your defense. And like I said, I was there this morning and they were lighting up the offense and they had a very good back and forth battle between themselves.
well, you do have some great skill position guys, quarterbacks, receivers, running backs that can move the ball and do everything around. But I certainly think the strength of the team by far is your defense, particularly your backfield there. But you got some great guys on that offensive line that really put a lot of pressure on the quarterback and force bad decisions. And guys that go out there. I call it playing center field. I've always thought a guy that's really great in center field is going to be really great in the backfield just because he knows how to look at a ball and chase it down. That's what they do, and
Yeah.
that's what you guys do. You have really some tremendous guys on that in that defensive line, and that's so exciting. In fact, that first game, the only real competition was whether the defense was going to score more or the offense was going to score more. Oh.
Yeah, they were definitely competing against each other on that scoreboard for that one.
All right. Well, we better get to promoting this game that we got ahead. We're playing, I believe, the Wyoming Cavalry, and that's
Yes,
the
sir.
former owner's team, Dom, which I got, nothing but good memories of Dom, and I'm sure he's going to be excited to come back in here. But I'm sure, he's going to want to win this game, and I'm sure you're going to want to win this game. So tell us a little bit about if you can come Friday, May 20th. We got a 7 o'clock start time, I believe, there. Tell us a little bit about what you're going to have to do to come out on top of this game.
I think as long as the units stay cohesive, that we won't have any problems. If you look at our last game, like we discussed already, we don't really like talk about. But if you look at our last game against the defending champs, that was one thing that I was able to notice right away is that they were not working as a unit compared to our first game where everything was just clicking in rhythm. So yeah, I think if they work together, they communicate good, we're going to be just fine on the 20th.
Okay. Well, last time we had a pillow fight, and you was kind of honoring veterans like me, and I certainly appreciate that.
And thank you for your service.
Well, thank you for being someone worth defending. And Cedar Rapids is, when I was out there in the cold and the mud and the blood and the beer out there when I was in the service, I always thought about places like Cedar Rapids and how great it was, and how I wanted to keep our way of life and keep us all going. And as we can see, freedom's not free at all. But
No, it's not.
so you're honoring the police force, you're honoring the first responders, so that was a great first step. The pillow fight was a really beautiful event at halftime, but it sounds like you got some great promotions coming up for this event. Tell us a little bit about this 80s night that you've got kind of planned.
Yeah, so we're definitely gonna go retro with it. So just, dress up. Dress up in your 80s gear. And like I already said, I'm an 80s baby, so it's definitely my era that I can definitely mesh well with. So yeah, dress up. There's I believe, a costume contest. So there's going to be some fun prizes and stuff like that going on. What they continue to tell me, because again, I'm still learning. It's only my 7th month of being an owner. But what they continue to tell me is that you want the game to be so entertaining that there's a little bit of football.
Yeah. That
Like you touched base already on the pillow fight. The pillow fight was featured on KCRG, but they didn't mention that the Titans won the game.
yeah, I guess you don't want the promotion to overshadow the victories there, but last what about the community sport and get out? Last year I noticed when I come up there, I'd get a paper and they never say nothing about the Cedar Rapids Titans games or anything going on there. Are you able to get some media in there to cover this events for you?
We're definitely working on it, Dave. I hate to keep beating a dead horse, but not just the previous ownership, but the ownership before that, the original Titans owner, kind of left a bad taste in everyone's mouth. So we are just desperately working hard to repair and mend all of those old relationships the best of our ability. So, to be quite honest, a lot of doors are still closed. But if we continue to show what we've been showing, those doors are going to unlock any day now.
Well, I'll tell you what I think. Iowa's like winners, you know, and they hadn't been winners over the past couple of years. So I think the fan base is a little down, but I think winning cures everything. And I think we've got a great opportunity to put a second win on the board, and really all that matters is that we win at home. you
Yeah.
know,
And I
and
mean, once we go out there and we win on the 20th, we'll be right in the standings for the championship round. All we have to do right now, like you're saying, is win out. If we win out our games, we're in the champ. We're in the championship.
well,
And of course, we already know that's going to be against the Ironmen. And I'll just give a shout out right now to Mario Flores and Nate Smith. They have a great organization up there. I really have a lot of respect for those two men. I admire everything they've done. And I had a conversation with Mario probably a week or so ago. And my direct quote to him was, "You are at the top of the hill, and I just want to be able to stand next to you one day."
well,
That's it.
I talked to Mario too. He helped us promote the game at his place there. You would not believe how similar your story in life, because we talked a little bit beforehand, is to yours. It's very, very similar life story.
listened I listened to that interview, and when he started saying that he started out as a sponsor, I just chuckled because I was like, "Man, so did I."
Yeah, and some of his life was like yours too. Uh,
Yes, sir.
and he had some opportunities that worked out for him young, and he was able to keep capitalizing on it. And he wind up owning a football team. You guys are both successful guys. You wind up owning a football team. The West Michigan Ironman is the standard that we're trying to get to. But there's other teams in this league, and we've got a whole season ahead of us. I know we got one game. We had one game, home game in February, one home game in March. So we're gonna have three, I think, in April. And I think I think that we got to the people that came to that home game had a good taste in their mouth, and I'm sure that there's a little word of mouth going on around here. So I certainly think that we got a good chance to build on that. We got this 80s night thing going. We got a great football team. We got a great product on the field. give us some other reasons maybe that they can come and start enjoying some Cedar Rapids Titans football.
Well, you're going to get more than what you pay for, plain and simple. That's all I can say, because I don't want to let all the cats out of the bag. So the 80s night is the theme. Come out, dress to impress. And again, you're going to get more than what you paid for. With that being said, we also have worked really hard with the arena to rebuild that relationship. So we do have lower prices at concession stands. You know, you're not. So, for example, when you go out to the movies now, it's probably $100 between your tickets and buying some food. Well, now, if you come out to a football game, we're going to be right under that. So, with the concessions and your tickets, it's very feasible for a family of four to come out, be accommodated in every single way, and have a great night.
Yeah, well, I saw a lot of young kids, and they really seem to be having fun. I think it's a great thing for families and friends. We'll be there Friday night, the 20th. Round Guy Radio will be there. You can watch it on our YouTube channel if you can't get there, but try to get there, and we'll try to bring as many people as we can and fill this house up and feel all the energy that we've got going. I know you didn't have a whole long time for this interview, and I've already probably gone past a little bit of the time that you allotted me. I certainly appreciate you taking some time with us. But before I let you go, was there anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't get a chance to talk about?
Yeah, I'd just like to say a couple thank yous. One, thank you to my mom. Thank you to my wife. And then last, I would love to say happy birthday to my son, Tyler, because his birthday is today. So that's why I didn't have a whole lot of time for the interview, because I got to go celebrate and cut some cake with him.
All right. Well, tell him happy birthday from me and from the rest of the Cedar Rapids Titans fans. And I hope everybody gets out and enjoys this. Thank you for taking some time with us. Congratulations on the purchase of your team and all the success that you've already had so far. And let's get some more success next week. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much, Dave.